Hey friends, it's Missy again. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'm here with a new layout for the Hip Kit Club, and I'm using the 2019 February kits, and my theme for today is based on the beautiful March mood board. I was inspired by the circle elements and the florals, and so I have part of this paper left over from Pink Fresh Studio Joyful Day. I've already cut into it for another layout, but I wanted to try to do something with these really intricate, pretty, floral, leafy wreaths. And so I'm going to just take some time. I sped this up because this is the most boring process to watch, but I'm going to fussy cut out lots of these, and you can kind of see here it's just a process of turning the paper, turning the scissors, and just cutting out the insides. And I did the best I could. They're not perfect, but round two of fussy cutting is going to be this Project Life card. I have been wanting to use this bright floral oval shaped wreath on a layout since I saw this, and so it's going to be this layout. And again, I'm just going to twist and turn it and fussy cut around all those leaves and flowers, and I just love those colors, the pinks and the reds and the periwinkles and the yellows. And I'm going to fussy cut again. This time it's going to be easy because it's going to be some hearts from this crepe paper sheet, and then a couple of the darker pink hearts from that exclusive Hip Kit paper. Cutting hearts is easy. You could probably cut this whole sheet in a few minutes and not even bat an eye, but those leaves did take some time. But now that it's all done, I've kind of been playing around here off camera, but I'm going to use this black and white picture of my daughter, and I've got a piece of a Project Life card that I've already cut most of it out of, the yellow one, and then a piece of pink. I think that came from one of the crepe papers that I had left over from my last layout. And I'm just going to use those as layers behind my picture, and then kind of tuck the picture inside that oval floral circle and sort of arrange all of the other wreaths kind of like you see here. I like this design, and so I'm going to very, very lightly dab a little dot of glue and connect all of them together so I can just move this whole thing around instead of having to rebuild it later on a background. And so this is just going to make that process a lot easier. And some of the wreaths aren't even complete circles because they ran off the page, and I didn't want to cut into my second sheet of this because I thought, I'm going to make it work with sort of the scraps that I have. So now you can see what I'm talking about here. I can just move the whole thing around. So I'm going to use some of the things from the color kit this month. I'm going to use that stencil that I just showed you. It's got these tiny little flowers. It's really, really pretty. And I'm going to use white cardstock as my background, and that's just thick white cardstock. And I'm going to use the modeling paste that we got in last month's color kit. I never got around to using it last month. I'm going to use it now, and this is the Prima Art Basics modeling paste. And I just kind of spread some on my palette knife there, and then I'm just going to move the stencil around and scrape some of this modeling paste right on top of it, and it's going to create the most awesome texture. And so this modeling paste is dimensional, and so it's going to stand up off the page a little bit, and it's going to make the background really bumpy and interesting instead of just having a flat background. I haven't done anything with modeling paste in a while, I don't think, and so definitely not for hip kits. And I remember we got this last month, and so I thought, yep, I'm going to use that. So now it's dry, and you can kind of see here what I was talking about with the texture. So when you touch it, it's kind of rough and bumpy, and it's going to be really interesting when I start to add paints and liquids and things on top of it. So this is kind of how the layout is going to go. I'm going to situate all these circles in my picture kind of over to the left side. And I'm going to start by adding some yellow. This is from this month's color kit. It's the Opal Magic paint by Prima. And I'm just going to do the tried and true plastic packaging technique here. And I think you could do pretty much any type of mixed media stuff with plastic packaging. Just spread it on there, add some water, flip it over, and smudge it down. And I'm going to pull in a couple of shimmers that we've gotten in recent color kits as well. This is a deep yellow color called Mustard Seed that I just sprayed on top of that. This is another Opal Magic paint from this month, and it is a teal color. And these opal paints are really cool because they look one color, but when you catch them in the light, they shimmer another color, and it's just the coolest effect. So what I did there was I mixed the teal opal magic paint with some Shimmer's Frostbite, and that's kind of a periwinkle blue color. We got that a few months ago. There you can see the different color that is, but I like to mix and match paints and sprays and just kind of create your own color. And that periwinkle color matches the bluish color in these Pink Fresh Studio color or collection for this month. It's the perfect match. And so I thought I would kind of just create some yellow and some blue on the background, because I'm going to use lots of pink in embellishments. And so I decided to not add any pink splotches like you see here. So you can kind of see now where the floral texture is popping up. You can see it standing out from all that color there. And I love that about modeling paste and shapes through stencils, because it just creates the coolest texture and interest on the background. So now that that's dry, I'm going to show you the shimmer here of that opal. Look at that. It's so cool. The yellow, I believe, has a little bit of a pink hint to it when it dries. And it's just, I think it is magic. That's why it's called opal magic, because it is. Now here is where I am going to do a little bit of pink. I didn't want to do a bunch of pink on the background, because like I said, I'm going to add a bunch of those pink hearts, but I did want to add some splatters. And so I'm just going to water down a little bit of that opal magic in the pink, and then just use my brush to flick it around and add a little bit of pink that way. So here's what I was talking about. Here is going to come, I'm not even making sense. Here comes the pink. That's what I was trying to say. Now, I don't wind up using all of those hearts that I cut out. I just felt like this is too much. And I tried several other embellishments here and there. I just picked out things that matched the colors. And I thought I'll kind of try this here and I'll try this there. And I wound up taking off some of those hearts, and I'm only going to use a couple. And I tucked them in some of the flowers and some of the wreaths, and just kind of had them peeking out of certain areas. Now I'm going to add some adhesive foam behind the photo there. It's going to raise it up just a little bit. And then before I glue anything down, I'm going to layer in some tangled thread. And I've got that periwinkle blue color, and I'm going to just kind of loop it up in my fingers there and tuck it in underneath this area here on the right. And this is just going to add a little pop of color and some texture. And, you know, it's not anything, I never want the thread that I add to take away from anything. I always use it as something just to create texture or interest or a pop of color. You know, it's not something that's so overbearing it's going to distract the eye from the photo or the embellishments. So now I'm going to work on gluing things down. And you know, the photo is going to be a little bit higher than some of the wreaths, but I felt like that whole thing as one unit is so big that I could glue most of the wreaths down, and then the photo itself is kind of raised up a little bit. So I'm going to go with, let's see, this is the puffy sticker sheet from Pink Fresh Studio. I'm going to use one small wreath from that sticker sheet, cut it in half, and use that. And then I decided to kind of stick with the circle theme. On the sticker sheets from Pink Fresh Studio, there's several circle stickers, and I thought all the sentiments were perfect, so I'm just going to layer those around. I love that green color. I'm usually not a big green fan, but I love it mixed in with all of these other colors. So this wound up being sort of like a rainbow color scheme, just kind of scattered around the page. And something else, I wanted to have more circles, and so I took some of the other sentiments that were in different shapes and just punched circles and made them circles. So, you know, always look at your embellishments, and if you want to change something to be a different shape or to make it smaller, you know, there's probably a way to do that. And so that's what I did with these hexagon shapes, because I didn't want to add a new element, you know, a new shape. I wanted to keep everything circle, so I just punched it. These are the brads that we get from Cartabella. I took two off, but I'm only gonna wind up using one. The other one is a black circle with a white heart, and I just felt like I didn't really have any other black elements going around the layout. So I just saved it for another page. Now this paper, I think everyone on the team has fussy cut some of these flowers out for their layout because they're so beautiful and they're so pretty when they're cut out. I've used these on a couple of my layouts for this month. I'm going to do it again. I just love that deep pink color, and I'm going to cut 2 little clusters of these little deep pink round flowers and try to figure out where I want to put them. For the first one here, I tried it everywhere. On the side, on the top, on the bottom. I decided to put one up top above the photo and then one below it. And then that little circle sticker beside the one on the top says, "You're magical." And I love the pop of that deep pink. So much, I'm going to add some deep pink thread, of course. I'm going to just tuck it in right underneath those flowers. So again, it just sort of adds to that color. It doesn't really take away from anything. It just adds a little bit of texture. And I'm really liking how this is turning out. It was fun to embellish this because I just wanted to keep tucking things in here and there, but I didn't want it to get too busy. I also take this one and use my 1.5 inch punch to make this a circle, but at this point I thought I wanted to use it, but I didn't really have a spot for it. And I tried to stick it down in the bottom right circle, but I just felt like it was too much. I didn't really need it. So I wind up taking that off. I did want to use one of these Pink Fresh Studio fabric banners or pennants. And so I go back and forth between the blue one that says Hello Weekend and the pink one that says Sweet. Home Sweet Home is what it says. And I ultimately decided to go with the blue one. I just like the way it looked, and I love that as an embellishment. It's so different. And I just like how it looked in that area. And I know I have a lot of blue in that area, but for some reason I think it just works. So I'm going to glue that down. And then I decided to go with a colorful mix and match title. And this was just a photo I took of my daughter on a random weekend on the patio. She was just in a good mood. And so I thought I would make the title Relax, Smile, Enjoy. And then I accidentally made the word relax again out of these blue letters, and then I realized that's the wrong word, so I took it off and made sure I had the right one. So now it's relax, smile, enjoy, and I love how that looks. I like the mix and match of fonts and colors, and so I decided to do a little something up at the top. And again, I'm on a border punch kick ever since last week. I just have been wanting to punch stuff. You know, not punch people in the... Well, maybe I do want to punch some people in the face. I'm such a terrible joke teller. But, yeah, I've been wanting to punch things, as in paper. So I just sliced off a little half area there on the top right corner, and then used some more scraps of that blue paper to fill in the open spot. And then I'm going to build a little cluster on top of that. And I think the border punch just kind of gives it a little bit of interest. Again, just for small details. I'm going to fussy cut out this deep pink circle there, and then add a little heart, and then add a white and yellow embellishment. And then I wanted a pop of that green color up there, so I'm going to fussy cut out this tiny little banner from that Pink Fresh Studio paper and use that. And this is a good example of really looking at your pattern papers, and there may be the smallest something on there that might be the perfect thing for a certain area. And I felt like that little banner was so tiny, you know, and if you don't even really look at that paper close enough, you wouldn't even see it. But I thought it was perfect for that area. I did some stitching. I stitched that down with my sewing machine there, just some white thread, just to give it some detail. And then I'm going to pop this up with some adhesive foam. And I like how that looks. It's fun to create little clusters like that. I wanted to make sure that I had all the colors represented, or most of the colors represented up in that area. And I've got one of those Pink Fresh Studio wood veneer buttons left, and it's that green one. And I tried time and time again to use it up at the top here in this little cluster, but it was just two-dimensional. If I tried to tuck it under a piece of that banner or a piece of that sentiment, it just popped it up too much. So I'm going to wind up using it somewhere else. But I do add some yellow thread underneath that little piece there. And then I am going to use that little banner that I cut out. And I think that just gives the perfect little detail there. I also did another fussy cut of those little reddish pink flowers from the Cartabella paper. And so that little cluster is finished. And then I'm going to add that green wood veneer button right there by the word enjoy, because I felt like that area needed a pop of green. So I'm almost finished. I'm going to draw my lines in this bottom circle since it was wide open, and then write my journaling, and that is it. I love how this turned out. I love how bright and colorful it is. And, you know, this whole thing just came together because I saw those wreaths and I decided to fussy cut those out. And then that spawned on the whole idea of more circles. And then, you know, the rest is history. So always look at your pattern papers, because you can really become inspired by, you know, something that you can cut out. And it may just, once you have everything cut out, you have it spread out, you may just get an idea and it may just click, and then the rest of your ideas just start flowing. So always really look at your pattern papers up close, because you never know what you can make by fussy cutting some things out. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know if you have any questions. I hope you have a great week, and I will see you in my next video. Thanks for watching.